Some women are simply born rich, confident, and naturally magnetic to their desires. Let's be clear, this podcast is not for them. However, if you're a soul-driven, visionary, or entrepreneurial woman who's been on a mission to learn how to create a better future bursting to come out of you, welcome to my world. I'm Jo Warwick, and this is Rich, Sexy, and Free. I've dedicated most of my career to helping women get to their core power and unlock the missing pieces for their own unique success. You may already know me as the author of The Big Book of Love. With 30 years experience in psychology, embodiment, manifesting, and energetics, we will be exploring together the keys to becoming rich, sexy, and free. So if this excites you, don't forget to like and subscribe on your favorite platforms so you can stay up to date with the podcast. Welcome to today's episode of Rich, Sexy, and Free. And I'm super excited to have with me today Anisa Crespo. She's going to introduce herself. She's got this amazing business that helps mothers becoming millionaires. So that's a really great subject for Rich, Sexy, and Free. Welcome, Anisa. I'm so happy to have you here.
Jo, thank you so much for having me on today. I'm really excited. Yes, I am Anisa Crespo, co-founder of $1 Million Mom Society, and I am super excited to share with your audience today.
I saw on your bio that you have an intention. How many millionaires do you want to make?
I have a mission to turn 1,000 moms into millionaires by the year 2030.
Nice.
How? That's the question, right? So just a little bit about what we do. So myself and my partner, Natasha, how we came together, $1 Million Mom Society was co-founded on the principle of collaboration over competition. We were both in the coaching space, both built successful six-figure businesses, serving the same type of client, moms in business. And we came together completely randomly. Neither one of us were looking for a partner, both kind of alpha female. And then we just came together one day and we were like, how can we collaborate? How can we work together? How can we build something even bigger and better with more reach and more impact in the world? And that's how $1 Million Mom Society was born. And we're very big on, it's not really about the strategy or the how. It's more about the who and the why. The why that makes us cry. It's typically for moms, it's their children, right? They want to be home with their kids. They don't want to be in a 9-to-5. They want flexibility and freedom, freedom of time, freedom of money, so that they can do the things that make them happy, which is usually spending time with their family. Right. So that's sort of the core foundation of $1 Million Mom Society. And then as we started to brainstorm and come together, we realized that what really propelled our business is Facebook group growth.
Mm-hmm.
There's 1,000,001 different strategies for lead generation, all that kind of stuff. But our bread and butter is Facebook group growth. And that is what we teach our clients how to do. So we create pretty much automated lead generation machines through Facebook groups on autopilot so that you can be making money in your sleep. You have your dream clients coming into your community, you're nurturing them, and they're buying from you. And that is the how.
That was all very simple. Lovely. I know that you're a mum of two. Is that right? You're a mum of twins.
Yeah. Yes, I have a boy and a girl. They're almost 5 years old. And yes, they're twins and very blessed.
But with them as well, and I understand as your partner as well, you've already got a full house. How was it for you building your own business with a full plate?
Yeah. So actually, how I really got started was back in 2020 during the onset of the pandemic. I had a great job at the time, making six figures. When it came to a successful career woman, I ticked all the boxes. It was fine. And then March 2020 hit. I was 9 months pregnant, thought I was going to have all this help. And then bam, like that, none of my family and friends wanted to even come inside my house. And my husband couldn't even take his paternity leave because he was an essential worker. So he had to go back to work. So here I am all alone with these two newborn, feeling a little uneasy and uncertain of what's going to happen in the world. So I am the type of person who not only takes advantage of opportunities, but I create opportunities. And I took the opportunity of the lockdown and my maternity leave to dive into entrepreneurship. just head on, got online, learned all the ways to bring in revenue online. And there are a lot. I made a lot of mistakes along the way. I didn't really immerse myself into it until a few years later. My husband and I moved from the Northeast to Orlando, Florida in 2022, and the housing market in America was just absolutely insane and it was booming. And we started a business when we got down here. And basically, I was working my job, I was working my business and not spending enough time with my family. And my daughter came to me and she was like, Mom, how come you don't love us anymore? And of course, that's not true, but it was true in her toddler mind. And it was at that point that I quit my 6-figure job and I went all in on my business and myself. I invested heavily for the first time ever into myself and my business. And that's where we just skyrocketed.
In that journey, what would be the biggest thing that maybe you thought was a mistake that actually has been a big propeller in the journey that you can see now? So maybe something you invested in, maybe something you tried, which you actually now see as a big part of your kind of success.
Yeah, I love this question. And I think that everything is a big part of it, even every single failure. And a lot of people, especially on social media, they like to talk about all the success and all the flowers and sunshine and rainbows and unicorns, but none of the dragons and fires and dungeons and all that kind of stuff. And entrepreneurship is a little bit of all of it.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important to recognize that in your journey, you're going to experience both. If you show me a successful entrepreneur that never experienced a failure, I'll show you a liar. It's just the way it is. And I have, in my journey, had so many failed business ventures. We were in real estate investing. We still are. We do it in the background. Real estate investments gone bad, lost tens of thousands of dollars. And it's all a lesson, right? Everything's either a lesson or a blessing or sometimes a little bit of both. So even coaches that I've invested in, it's like sometimes you invest in these coaches and they're freaking amazing and you have these gigantic transformations. And then sometimes you get sold a bunch of nonsense. But what I try to do is even if I've invested, especially if it's like $5,000, $10,000 into a coach or into a course or a program, I always try to take something from it. So myself and my partner, Natasha, we have both just invested so much into different things to try to propel us forward. And a lot of it has been really great. And what the ones that weren't, we just tried to step back and say, what can we learn from this? What can we take from this and then turn it into our own? And that's what we do.
I like the way there's two things that you said. Entrepreneurship is not just having one business online. As you said, we do real estate in the background. It's about having your finger in many pies. If you're an entrepreneur, you are an entrepreneur, which means you want to have multiple money streams. You want to have lots of ways that things are showing up and happening, that your life has a different kind of energy to it. What would you say was the transformation around your relationship with money? Because that's always a big conversation here on Rich, Sexy and Free of how that's evolved. Where did you come from and where you are now?
Oh, yeah. So important. And what an evolution it's been. I was raised in a poor family. My mother was a single mother. She did the very best she could, but we always came from these very limiting beliefs. I always say the love was abundant, but everything else was very scarce. And it was always like, we can't afford this. We can't have that. No, we can't. And it took me years of retraining my brain to understand that I don't have to live like this. And I think that it's so much harder to unlearn skills and behaviors than it is to learn new ones. So first of all, like you have to unlearn all that heavy stuff from childhood, and I had a lot of it. I came from a family big Italian family, very negative people. They wallowed in their misery. When I tell you, when they would get together, it was to do nothing but talk about each other. And for the longest time, like I thought this was just normal and this was just how people behaved. And then as I got out into the world and I ventured out on my own, started to become my own woman and make my own decisions, I was like, most people don't behave like this, particularly the successful ones.
Yeah.
And so I started to laser focus my energy on successful people and the habits and behaviors and rituals of them so that I could start mimicking those. Because I could sit here and follow the advice of the people that raised me all day long, but they all died in debt. So I'm not here to leave that legacy for my children. I think also the word millionaire is so taboo, the word million. So when Natasha and I were coming up with $1 Million Mom Society, we gave it some consideration and we said, no, $1 Million Mom is a state of mind. Okay. It's how you feel when you look in the mirror when you wake up. It's who you are, who you be. If you are $1 Million Mom, it doesn't mean that you have 7 figures in your bank account. And if you embody it, one day you likely will have 7 figures in your bank account.
Yeah.
But so many people are uncomfortable with it. And I think it comes from these limiting beliefs that, oh, they could never reach this goal or it's so big for them. But I'm a big dreamer and I'm a fast action taker and I like to make shit happen.
I like that. And it is true. It does start with an attitude, that real attitude. One of the things I feel is important to bring to the forefront, that shift that happens from getting out of that drama, that feeding of drama, as you just talked about, the Italian drama of let's stay where we are. We want to be fueled by the drama of what's going wrong and people being liked or not liked. It's just shit stirring, really, isn't it? And that shift that has to happen of who you want to be to have the different life. Although it's not maybe yet in your bank account. So it's a foundation, underpinning the money shift, the mindset shift. Is there a faith shift for you?
Oh my goodness, faith is everything to me. Faith in so many different aspects. You have your faith as far as your spirituality, and then you just have faith in this is going to happen for me. I truly believe this in my soul, in the depths of my soul. Like I believe it's going to happen. And I live in faith over fear every single day. It's one of the reasons why I was able to just pick up and move my whole family over 1,000 miles away with no fear whatsoever. I was just like, we're going to do this. We're just going to settle in and we're going to make the best of it. And it was one of the best decisions we ever made. And I encourage people to always have faith over fear because there's no room for both. And worrying is not going to help you. Like if you're going to sit there and worry about the outcome of something, it's not going to change the outcome. I am a big advocate for faith.
With that in mind, is there a particular area that you struggle to have more faith?
Well, I think that all mothers in general, women in general, are natural born warriors. I think that because we care so much about other people and feel that we need to be the caregivers and the providers, I think that we do worry that things are either going to fail or not work out. But even if something doesn't work out the way you planned, you're still going to be okay. Whether you believe this or not, I believe in God and a bigger plan and the universe and all that kind of stuff. I just think that sometimes we have to let go and just give up some of that control. And a lot of us alpha females is hard to do. Like I'm a type A personality. I like to have control over everything. And that's one of the things that I really struggled with when I was really getting into my business was letting go of full control. Even when you have a company and you're hiring employees, because let's face it, your employees don't always look after your business, which is your baby, the way that you would. So you just have to entrust that you've made a responsible decision in your hiring and then let it go. And if it doesn't work out, you can recuperate from that.
That's such a great area. I know that it's something I've come up against a lot when I've consulted or coached particularly for men and women do it, but in different ways. Men control with a state of dominance, of ownership, whereas women control out of overprotection. And it is that moment that destroys your business where you won't shift from, for some people, it's from 5 figures to 6. For other people, it's 6 to 7. It also manifests when I was as a child and family therapist. It's a huge thing for women to let go and allow growth in their children, in their relationships. Because if you do become someone who controls everything, there is this problem that you suffocate. You become the suffocating mother can be a syndrome in your business and in your personal life and with your children. And so, what techniques do you use to help yourself let go?
Meditation and prayer. Every single day I wake up at 4 a.m. People think I'm absolutely crazy. But that's my time. That's the time before my children are awake. It's my time to connect with God, to connect with the universe, to connect with myself, and to figure out what the intention of the day is. And I just ask for guidance. I ask for wisdom. A lot of people get hung up on the sale and the revenue. And I used to be so hung up on that. And I would ask for dollar amounts and all this kind of stuff. And now I don't. Like, I ask for lives to change. Please let me just meet one person today in my DMs that I can transform their life.
Oh, I love
That for me is where it's at. And letting go of that control where I'm not out there searching and chasing. Because I think a lot of us, especially when we're getting started, I'm working with a client right now, and she's right in the beginning of her business, and she's asking for feedback on some of her messaging. And I'm like, just let back a little bit, because you don't want to just be like, pounce right away. That's really, it's a turnoff for people. So I like to just let conversations flow. I like to invite people into my world. Hopefully I'm able to help somebody today. And that's what I'm here for.
And the women that you're focused on, the women that you're helping, are women like you who are busy and they are pressured, and that they're trying to make a shift. Because, of course, we all know that when you make a shift, whether it's for your business or it's going to make a shift in you, you cannot become successful in business without transforming yourself. It's part of the process. And so when you pressurize somebody who's already pressurized, as you say, it's a turn off. It's not going to be attractive. They want to feel safe. They want to feel heard. They want to express themselves. So that's, absolutely. I really like that. Asking, how can I change a life today? How can I connect? Really hearing that. We hear that you're a successful woman. We hear that you're a go-getter. We hear that you transform things. Is it an area that maybe you're alchemizing at the moment? Maybe something that you were struggling with in 2024 that you're alchemizing for 2025?
So 2024, I spent a lot of time planting a lot of seeds in my business, and now they're starting to flourish. And that's a really beautiful thing. But if I could share something from even before that, so people can understand that we don't just roll out of the womb successful. In 2020, my husband and I were living our best lives. We were still newlyweds. We were traveling constantly. We were investing. We had like disposable income coming out the wazoo, and really just living our best newlywed lives. And then I got pregnant and everything's changed. And then COVID hit and everything really changed. And not only did everything come to a complete halt, but really set us back. And we had to file for bankruptcy.
Oh, wow.
So in an instant, we lost it all. We went from 6 figures in the bank account to worrying if we were going to be able to make the mortgage note. That is something that really would tear most people completely down. In fact, my husband was really depressed about it. And I'm the uplifting one in our relationship. And I just told him, like, listen, we are going to recover from this. Every setback is a setup for a comeback, and it can be even bigger than before. And that's exactly what it was. Fast forward a little bit, a couple years, it was hard. We struggled a little bit for a year or two, and then we built back and we did what we had to do. And suddenly the 6 figures reappeared in the bank account. That's when we moved to Florida, and we were investing in real estate at the time. And we wanted to purchase a home. It was like a fix and flip. And I wanted the rehab and purchase price covered at 100%. And this is like unheard of if you've had a bankruptcy. But I was like, I happen to know that it's possible. And I know there are lenders out there who will do it. And what I did was I didn't stop until I heard yes. And before I heard that yes, I heard a whole lot of no's. I had guys literally laughing at me on the phone because I was like, I'm going to find somebody who's going to do this for me. They were laughing at me, Joe. And I was okay with it because I'm comfortable in my own skin. I know that we went through a season, we came out of the season, and here we are, and we're ready to build back. I found my lender who said yes. I purchased an investment property, covered 100% rehab and purchase price, and we ended up flipping that property. We all go through things. We all go through struggles. We're, like I said, we don't just roll out of the womb wealthy or successful or any of these things. And a lot of times, like I turned 40 in October. And I think that God has been preparing me for 40 years for the table that I'm seated at now. And 10 years ago, I would not have been fit or suited to sit at this table that I'm at now. And I think that sometimes we do have to go through the really hard things to get there.
So true. Wisdom with age. When you realize that those moments that being on your knees is sometimes the greatest moments that you find yourself, your strength, what really matters. You don't want to stay there. I definitely know that as well. I think there are times when I think, gosh, I think I spent too long there. Or when I don't want to bounce back to it because it fucking hurts.
I just want to share this. In my journey and in my transformation, and in particular in my spiritual journey, one of the most important lessons I learned along the way is no matter what's happening around me on the outside, I have to be content in here on the inside, because it doesn't matter how much money anybody has. It doesn't matter any of those things. What matters is love, kindness, peace, and really being at peace with yourself and your situation. And when you are so fulfilled and spiritually healthy that way, everything around just naturally flourishes. Like it really does.
It really does. I was just thinking about being right with God, however you define God, but being right with God. I see it as being right with my masculine and my feminine, not just the one, but being right on the inside. If I feel that, then all of those child niggly things that want to say, nobody loves me and nobody likes me. Please let me be popular in the playground, all of that sort of stuff. There's a way because I'm right with my God, my whatever that is. And when you've got that in your corner, in your back, in your backpack, inside, wherever you want to describe it, there feels that sense of, oh, I can go out into the world. Sorry, we're being joined today. We can go out into the world bolder and braver. And also there's a less need to control, to rush, to push. We don't make moves from hunger, but make moves from overflow, which is so much better, so much easier, so much more attractive, isn't it? Do you know what human design you are?
I do not, but I am in the process of studying that because I'm absolutely fascinated with it. And particularly, like, I came across it just being in the industry, talking to different women. And my son communicates a lot in tones and sounds, and just meeting him where he's at and not constantly use your words. This is his design. And so I'm learning about mine, my husband, our twins, and how we can just coexist together and really respect one another based on that.
I love that.
I'm not educated enough on the subject, but one thing I will say, as we reflected on 2024, we do a lot of impulsive, on the fly type of decisions sometimes, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. So in 2025, we're just going to be more mindful of them and think them through, because a lot of times, and this is even a sales tactic, people buy on emotion, right? It's fun sometimes to just buy on emotion. And then what you don't want to have happen, whether you're the seller or the buyer, is that buyer's remorse, where you go back and now the emotion is settled and you're like, oh, that probably wasn't such a great investment. So I think being a little bit less emotional and more logical, because we do operate in a great deal of faith and we have a huge 2025 coming up. We have so much on the horizon. And because of that, we were just like gung ho, let's just go all in. But you want to make sure that you're, first of all, not pouring from an empty cup and you've not committed to too many things. That's one thing. Also, just learning to really be so respectful of my time and my boundaries. And a lot of times when we're first getting started, like we'll take appointments all times of the day and night and weekends and this and that. And now I'm very firm on, okay, these are my office hours and this is when I see clients. And I really don't go outside of that because I respect my time boundaries. I think that when we first get started in business, we're always taking clients and requests and appointments at all times of the day, night, weekend. And for me, I used to do that when I was getting started, but I don't do that anymore. I say, these are my office hours. This is when you can find me. People say, oh, your schedule, I see your calendar, but it really doesn't fit my schedule. This is my calendar. And if I'm not available on my calendar, I could be doing something with my family or my children, and there's a reason why it's not available to you. So I'm just not available for any and everything. I also think that all money is not good money, and being able to say no to certain things is one of the most respectful things you can do for yourself. So that's where I'm really focusing a lot of my energy this year.
I love that. You're making me think about when I built my psychotherapy practice. At no point did I ever see people at weekends. Did I ever speak to people in the evenings? Apart from when I chose my times, I was very clear about my boundaries as a therapist because it's one of the number one things you learn to set a physical netting around the work that you're doing. And yet, when you go online, the expectation of other people, and particularly if you work globally, the idea that you're supposed to be available 24/7 on social media, on their messaging, their ideas, their kindness. And it is a real test. And I think if you haven't got those boundaries inside of yourself, I'm learning to do that. And I've wobbled. I can do it in some areas and I'm super fierce. And then I'll go down a route. I'm like, again, bring it back. And it is interesting, that thing of the wobble for money, depending on the client, depending on that something. So, oh no, I could do that for the. And I definitely think with maturity, getting burnt makes you better because you go, fuck, I've done this again. It makes you resentful of the work you're doing. And as you say, not all money is good money. And I think when you learn that, when you wobble those boundaries, of course, you end up with people and clients. Everybody is wonderful in their soul, but my God, you can have some needy ass people who just aren't on your frequency because you wobbled.
I think it's so true. It's sometimes when people, they'll give me a little pushback if they're like, oh, I can't find something in your calendar. I'm like, these are my available hours. This doesn't work for me or whatever. And I just would say, if you needed your teeth cleaned and your dentist was not available at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night, would you call him up and say, I need my teeth cleaned right now?
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't. Those are not his office hours. And I think that, like you said, being online has really shaken things up in that matter. And we really need to stay true to our values and our boundaries and respecting ourselves.
Absolutely. And I think as women who are used to having their boundaries pushed, particularly as busy mothers and busy women with busy lives, that sacrificing yourself is a natural button that gets pushed, not because it's the way we're made, but because of the way we've been programmed by our own mothers and ancestrally and all of those things. I think that's such a great thing for becoming a millionaire mama or a rich, sexy and free woman. Or it's like, it's got to start with those very clear boundaries in your business. And of course, when you do that, it states your value.
100%.
So is there anything you particularly want to share with the women who may be listening, who are mothers particularly, maybe some action that they could take to support themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. So I definitely want to share that I think that our beliefs, particularly our beliefs within ourselves, really shape our destinies and our realities. So whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you are correct. The sky is not the limit. You are the limit. And there's nothing that you can't do. If you can think it and you can dream it, you can be it and you can have it and you can do it. Every single thing that you see when you just turn around and look at every single thing in the room around you was once not a thing. Somebody thought of it, invented it, and then figured out how it was going to be created. And then it was created. And that is true for everything. And I just think that we really limit ourselves. I think that it's really important just to get started. If there's something that's holding you back, chances are it's you. And there's something that you have to do up here in your mind. So just take some quiet time and do some visualization and imagine yourself where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then reverse engineer it and figure out how you can get there.
Yeah, I love that. I often think about when my brain goes into that stuck mode, being back on the cross-country course, but you do it one jump at a time. And when you're going around a cross-country course or a show jump or whatever, but you don't look at the jump. You know that the jump is there. You've assessed the jump. You only ever look the other side of the jump.
That's right.
We can get so blocked by looking at the problem, at the resistance, which is in our head. So we're creating it externally. So it's being able to go, that's the resistance, but how do I look beyond it? How can I look beyond the jump? And if you can create something like a visual, which I do, which is, that's the jump. So how am I the other side of the jump? How do I feel the other side of the jump? How do I look the other side of the jump? What does it mean to be the other side of the jump? Do I like being there? Is it the way I want it to be? Genuinely, it's a sense of openness, that the field is open, the sun is shining, there is space, I can move, I can breathe. And from that state of creativity, then I can know what I'm doing. And this has been amazing. Where can people find you?
So the easiest way to connect with me is with Facebook DM. You can find me, Anisa Crespo. I'm on all the social media platforms, but that's my main one. If you do want to reach out to me and have a chat, you can get into my Facebook group. It's just $1 Million Mom Society. And I'm really excited to connect with your audience. And hopefully I've said something that resonates with somebody today.
Fantastic. And of course, if you're listening to the podcast or watching on YouTube, you can find everything in the description or in the show notes. Thank you so much for your time. Love the conversation. I know there's loads of tips that people will be taking away.
Thank you.
It's been great to connect with you today. But before you leave, if you haven't already, if you want to find out more about how I can help you personally or check out any of my books, products, or coaching packages, just simply go ahead and visit richsexyandfree.com. And I look forward to seeing you next week on the podcast.